God, that's my favorite. Sylvia, such a hard question. Yes, but all right. Favorite oil or Young Living product? Stress Away is amazing. I've got that right here. Putting that on now. Progessence, PPP. Love that. I'm loving Mineral Essence as well in my Ningxia. I think that's an incredible product. Awaken. It's got about 20 oils in it. I think it's Awaken is Young Living's got the most oils in it. Good old Frankie. Can't beat that. Okay. Shell Ginger. Oh, I haven't tried that one. Ningxia right now. Amazing. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna hit play and record. Bear with me. And I've made you co-host, Amy, so you should be all
Okay.
good. All right, so I'm just recording now.
Great.
Hopefully that's recording.
I've
Hello.
had a few recording buttons pop up, so I'm assuming it's all
Um,
good.
okay, it did. Hopefully that's recording. This is our May 2025 monthly oils group. So, I've been running these monthly deep dive webinars now for our community for about, I think, 7 or 8 years, month on month. And this is the first time we're doing cholesterol. And I don't know why, but it's a topic that I think is really important because there are a lot of misconceptions around it. So we're going to be doing a little bit of myth busting tonight. And cholesterol's become this really dirty word, like, oh, if you got high cholesterol, it must be. So there's a lot, it's very nuanced and there's a lot to unpack. Okay, so for all of the new members in our community, which we've got a lot of recently, huge warm welcome. For all the seasoned campaigners, we love having you here. And without further ado, pinch and a punch for the first day of the month. I'm just going to hand over to our wonderful Amy, who I have thoroughly enjoyed working with, as well as developing a friendship with, as well as becoming an amazing travel buddy with me on all these wonderful Young Living trips that we've been on and about to launch on Sunday. We're going to Vietnam. And so
Yeah.
this community and this company can take you. It's been incredible. Young Living has up-leveled my life in all the ways, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and socially. And this is all on a platter for you as well. So without further ado, let's hand over to Amy. And Amy, you're got the stage. Over to you.
Thank you. I might pin myself so everyone
Oh,
can
yes.
see.
I'll do that too now. Yeah.
Um, and I'll share my screen.
Yeah.
Now, just tell me if you, oh my gosh, if you can all see that.
Yeah.
And then I've got to like play it. Present. There we go. Alrighty.
We just need to make it big. Oh, yeah. Is that the biggest it can go?
Can you not see it?
Yep.
Big?
Yep.
Is it big?
Perfect. It is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So yes, as Sula has said, this is a massive topic. And it is, yeah, very misinterpreted by a lot of Western medicine and also very nuanced, like Sula has said as well. So there's a lot to get through, and I really hope I give it enough credit without over, you know, stimulating you all and confusing you all at the same time. So I hope I've kept it simple enough, but also covered everything I need to cover. So there'll be questions, time for questions at the end. And if you have any, yeah, shares or, as I said, questions, pop them in the chat and we'll try and get to them at the end. And this is not intended for, to be a substitute for any professional medical advice. You will need to speak to someone that you trust, hopefully a integrative GP or another naturopath. But yes, there's a lot of information here which hopefully will clear your concerns around cholesterol. So who am I? If you haven't met me before, if you haven't been to one of my webinars here with Sula, I am Amy. I am a mum, a wife, a naturopath, a personal trainer, metabolic balance coach, menstrual health educator, and a low tox advocate, which is why I'm part of this community. I've been a naturopath since 2021. in Sydney, and now I live in Bathurst and I work completely online. My entire practice is online. And I've also worked in the fitness industry since 2017. So I did 4 years of dispensary work in one of Sydney's most highly regarded integrated medical centres. So that was a true eye-opener and yeah, pretty amazing. And it really helped me evolve and sort of grow and adapt my practice and knowledge and skills. So I'm truly passionate about prevention over cure, which is a great topic for cholesterol. Um, Nutrition and lifestyle changes are truly the long-term, health that we need to implement to actually avoid conditions like, chronic health conditions. So I really want to empower women with knowledge and tools to actually change their health and just actually tune into their own intuition about what's going on for them rather than handing over their power unnecessarily to other people. But we can't always do everything alone. So you sometimes do need someone to help you navigate what's actually right for you. Um, I really want to simplify and take out the stress of the unknown with conventional healthcare. So that's why I really hope I do that with cholesterol today. Um, and really try and provide some independent, well-researched, but easily digestible information to you all. So tonight, what we're going to cover is what cholesterol actually is, why we need it, why it might be elevated for you. So they're more of the root causes that we'll be going through. The problem with statins and lowering cholesterol, interpreting cholesterol results, which is probably part of the nuance element of all of this, because what you see on paper is not really what we need to look at. We kind of need to make some other interpretations from that. And what else we should be testing for to actually know the risk of these cardiovascular events, and then some natural solutions that I use in clinic with patients, but also, yeah, lifestyle and dietary things we can do to optimize those results. So, what is cholesterol? So, despite what mainstream media and healthcare practitioners would have you believe, cholesterol is actually a healing molecule. So, it's truly there to help reduce inflammation. It is a lipid, so it's a fat, and it must be carried around the body by a protein, and that's what we call lipoproteins. So, the mix of a fat and a protein is a lipoprotein. And without confusing you all, there's only two that I'm going to cover tonight, which are HDL and LDL. So they're the main ones that get tested in our standard lipid studies that we get on our bloods. So one's the high density lipoprotein and the other's the low density lipoprotein. There are three others, but I'm not going to go into those. 80% of our cholesterol is actually produced by our liver. So it's actually produced internally. And I'd just like you to reflect on that in itself. That should suggest that our bodies wouldn't be making something that was meant to kill us. So the other 20% we will find from our food. So yeah, we wouldn't have this evolutionary, mechanism of being able to create some molecule that was going to, yeah, eventually kill us or give us a heart attack. Why do we care about it, or why do Western medicine care about it? The main focus is on its correlation to atherosclerosis, which is where you're getting a buildup of cholesterol in your arteries, and then leading up to heart disease and different cardiovascular events. So really the whole part of cholesterol, the point of it is it is another marker for cardiovascular risk. And I just want to stress that it's one of the markers. So it's not the only factor that increases our risk of these conditions. So we really should not be, it shouldn't have such a big emphasis like it does, because there are so many other elements that we need to be checking to actually know how much of a risk someone is for these cardiovascular events. So why do we need it in our bodies? It has so many crucial roles in the functioning or the healthy functioning of our body. So it is literally a component of every single cell membrane in your body. So the cell membrane is the outer part of the cell, and it literally is made of cholesterol.
Mm.
Our brains are like 80% fat. So there's so much cholesterol in our brains as well. Um, it's a precursor molecule, which means it's needed to make these things. So vitamin D, steroid hormones like cortisol, and your sex hormones, which are estrogen, testosterone, progesterone. It is actually a constituent. Can't even remember the percentage of what it makes up of bile. It's like 90% or something. But it's made to make bile salt, used to make bile salts in your liver. And we need bile to actually break down our fats from the fats from our food. And when we break down fat or healthy fats, we should get the vitamins, the fat soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K. So without cholesterol, we can't make enough bile to actually do that. And then it's just that vicious cycle. It's needed for tissue repair. So that's the damage that happens to our cells from oxidation, or we're going to get into all the other causes, but it is needed for tissue repair. So that's why it's the healing molecule, because it actually needs to go out and repair things. Supporting our brain and nervous system function. So it's actually neuroprotective. Like I said, our brain is actually made of a huge amount of fat and cholesterol, and it can reduce our risk of dementia. And then it's also used as part of that tissue repair for reducing inflammation, and also our immunity. So like it's not just there to give
Mm.
us a heart attack. There's a huge reason why we need it. So then we're moving into, I guess, more of those root causes. So what can we look at behind the scenes as to why it could be elevated instead of just looking at a number on a sheet and assuming that we're going to have a heart attack? So it literally has to increase with aging, because as we age, we have more tissue damage, and oh, something's moving on my screen. And everything needs more repairing as we age. That's just a general thing that happens as we age. Nutrient deficiencies, it can be elevated if you've got low vitamin D, low magnesium, not enough omegas, like your omega 3s, B12, B6, B9, K2. Inflammation. So, as I've said at the start, it is the healing molecule that helps to reduce inflammation or manage inflammation. So, if you've got inflammation, literally the list is as long as your arm, because inflammation can come from anywhere. But there's a few factors here. So, chronic stress can elevate your cortisol, that can cause inflammation, and then your cholesterol is going to respond to that. Inflammatory foods, so that's your sugar and your highly processed junk foods. Viral infections, so when you're sick, that's where it comes into that immunity response. Gut microbiome imbalances, so small intestine bacterial overgrowth, leaky gut, pathogens, parasites, literally anything, that all causes inflammation in your gut. So cholesterol is going to respond. Hormonal transitions, so perimenopausal women and menopausal women, big fluctuations in cholesterol around then. Environmental toxicity, so hopefully with Young Living you don't have too much environmental toxicity, but also our exposure to heavy metals. Excessive alcohol intake, which obviously damages our liver. Lack of movement is a huge one. So if we don't move, cholesterol is generally just not going to process through our body as easily or actually get used. Sleep deprivation is a massive one, and poor circadian rhythm. So I'm sure everyone can tick off one of those
Mm.
lines of inflammation, and could blame that on slightly elevated cholesterol. Um, the other things that can make cholesterol, or the process of, like actually conjugating and getting rid of cholesterol, is that your liver and gallbladder may be a bit sluggish. So your liver obviously produces the cholesterol, but it also needs to detoxify and conjugate and remove it through the liver and then through the gut. So if those things aren't working, and as I said, the gallbladder is where we store the bile, so cholesterol makes bile. And if that's not functioning, your gallbladder is not releasing regularly and pumping out that bile, you can get a buildup of bile in your gallbladder, which means then you're just recirculating cholesterol. You're not using it. Your thyroid may need some support. So our thyroid governs our entire metabolism. So think about when we're eating food or when we're literally doing it, like every process in our body is part of our metabolic function. So if our thyroid hormone is not being produced or not working well enough, then these processes can't happen properly and we can end up with a buildup of cholesterol. If you have high or low estrogen, it's another reason it could be elevated, or testosterone, literally any hormone, because we need cholesterol to make these hormones. So if it's low, you might have excess cholesterol because if you're going through perimenopause, your hormones are going up and down and up and down. So you might just catch it at a time when cholesterol's higher and your hormones have dropped, or other way around, your hormones are coming up. So cholesterol needs to reach that and support that as well. So there's a huge number of reasons. And then there's also genetic variabilities that can affect our lipid metabolism, which means how we actually break down and use fat. So, yeah.
So,
I
Amy,
hope
before
it
you
opens
go
your eyes
on,
a bit.
so before you go on, just to summarize, is really important. So, cholesterol is a healing molecule and it's elevated when, putting aside this last bullet point there, when something is wrong in the body. It's basically coming out to help when something is wrong in the body.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot going on. There's going to be a lot of things, a
There
lot of
could be a
reasons.
lot of things going wrong. And I kind of, that's a long list there, but in my mind, summarize it in terms of three main buckets: stress, processed foods, and infection. Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot. So yeah, it's not just let's look at your cholesterol levels and if they're high, you're gonna, we need to put you on a statin to lower it so that you don't have a heart attack. Like, let's look at all the other reasons behind why it could be high. And then, as I'm about to go into, let's look at all the other factors that we need to test to know if it's actually going to your arteries and causing any sort of damage or calcification. Because if that's the case, then you may need more support. But yeah, in terms of cardiovascular risk, we need to look at all these other reasons.
So these are all like the fires, and the cholesterol is coming out like firemen to
Yeah,
help put out the fire, the healing molecules to help put out the fire. Yeah.
yeah, which
So the
is
allopathic view of, oh, let's just get rid of the firemen
yeah,
is so misguided, because that's not going to get rid of the fires. There's
no,
just more fires.
yeah, exactly, and that's exactly what I put on this next slide. So this is the problem we have with statins. And again, like as with all drugs, like there is sometimes there's definitely a need for them. There are people that really need them based on a certain number of risks. Like we're not going to just like blame statins for everything, but they are literally the most highly prescribed drug in the world, and they do a lot more damage than they do actually support, because they're actually getting prescribed to people who definitely don't need them. So the analogy that Sula just explained, which is what I was about to get into, is that if we're using statins and we're trying to lower cholesterol without actually looking at all the other risk factors that might come into play with a cardiovascular event or risk, then we're just literally blaming the firefighter for causing all the fires and then trying to send him home and get rid of him. And that's completely backwards, completely pointless. And actually doing more damage than good, because without cholesterol, all those reasons why we need it, like those hormones and the brain function and everything else, then falls away and we start to get even more problems down the track. So yeah, statins are the most prescribed drug in the world. The biggest issue is that it's been prescribed based on one marker of potential risk, which is your cholesterol studies or lipid studies. And that is, as I said at the start, absolutely not the only marker we need to check for to know if someone's at higher risk of cardiovascular events. So it should only be used in high risk groups, and those are generally there's an actual calculation that, well, integrative GPs do, but it should be above about 10 or 15% after they've done all the other different tests. And if they are then in the high risk group, then sometimes statins are used alongside or should be alongside all your other natural therapies as well. So it's what statins actually do in the body is block an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase, which is basically the enzyme that helps us make cholesterol in our liver. So it's basically stopping our body from making it.
Mm.
In the process of doing that, though, it's actually depleting us of essential antioxidant-rich nutrients like CoQ10, selenium, K2, and vitamin D. So it's literally depleting us of the nutrients we need to reduce our risk and keep us healthy. So it's very problematic for the large proportion of people that get prescribed it. The other side effects from statins are the neurocognitive side effects, the muscle problems people get, liver and kidney damage, and 20 to 50% increase in diabetes risk, along with if you've already got an insulin resistant type picture. So yeah, we need to be much more mindful around these and being prescribed them and whether we actually need them. So in terms of pathology interpretation, this is something I really want people to understand because we all get our blood tests, we all get told that we have high cholesterol. And I even had it was hilarious. I had my husband, he got his tested, it was a couple of years ago, and I was in the consult with the GP and he got told to go on the meditation diet. And I was like, what is that? Which actually probably would be really helpful because if he was highly stressed, reducing his stress might be great. But he met the Mediterranean diet, but he said meditation
Oh
diet. And I
my
was like,
God.
oh my God, you know nothing. So yeah, I mean, it was great that he was prescribing food, not something else, but like totally missed it completely.
Yeah.
Anyway, so when you see your results, you'll get those pretty much what you can see on the screen there on the right. Cholesterol literally just means your total cholesterol. So all these things added up into one number. Triglycerides are it's actual fat. It's different to cholesterol. Cholesterol and triglycerides are both types of fat, but triglycerides actually get stored in your fat cells. So it's actual fat. So triglycerides are actually more of a problematic marker than anything else really
So
listed.
you want the triglycerides to be low.
Yeah, you want low triglycerides. That's like
Yeah.
a big indicator or a big risk factor.
Yeah. But eating a high natural fat diet doesn't, as we know, translate to
Yeah.
fat cells. Yeah. Just
Yeah,
want
no,
to
it'll
pick
be
that up.
all your saturated fats, all your Macca's type foods.
It's
Highly processed and even, high sugar diets as well.
correct.
And
Triglycerides,
then
not your natural fats. Yeah.
yeah. And then moving down, you've got HDL, which is, as I said, one of the lipoproteins. That's the actual carrier of cholesterol around your body. So the difference between HDL and LDL is HDL takes the cholesterol the cholesterol that's out in your body, in your cells, doing whatever it's been doing, bringing it back to the liver to be processed and then excreted through the gut or through the liver, through the gut. It's often touted as the good cholesterol, literally because it does that, it takes it from the cells back to the liver. But really, there's absolutely no reason to call one good and one bad at all.
It's just the
We
direction.
need to look at the reason why these things are even there. LDL in the literally the opposite terms is the protein that carries cholesterol from the liver where it's been made to the cell to be used however it needs to be used. All those reasons listed before, and also all those causes. So things that
Right. So it's not really bad. It's going to the
it's just a
cell
transporter.
to put out the fire.
Exactly.
All right.
It's literally got nothing to do with being good or bad.
It's doing its
just
job to
how
put
they
out.
move cholesterol.
Whereas once it's done its job, then it moves out from the cells back to the liver.
Yeah, so we want enough HDL. We want enough HDL to actually be able to move it back. So that's where we're going to look at what we actually should be looking for. So even though you get these results listed on your blood test, none of that is really useful. You need to then do the next step, which is what I'm about to go through, and look at all these types of ratios with all these markers that you've just been given and figure out if you're actually at any sort of risk whatsoever. So these are all more sensitive or more specific markers of cardiovascular risk than what total cholesterol is, that number at the top, or what LDL is, that, bad cholesterol. So no matter what those numbers are, we need to then actually do the calculations of all these ratios to know if we're at any sort of risk. And then use that as information to then go further and check the rest of your risk, right? So let's not just get our cholesterol studies and think that we're going to die, that kind of
And
thing.
most doctors, not the holistic ones, the functional medicine, but most conventional doctors won't be doing these ratios.
Oh God, no. No,
Yeah.
not at all. And
Yeah.
this was from this, like, I got these ratios just from a PubMed study. Like, it's out there. It's not, it was from a 2009 study. So it's been out there for a long time. So they're just not doing it. Sometimes they pop up down here. So you have got your total cholesterol ratio with the HDL ratio. So that's the top one there. That has been listed. But most of the time, like, none of the other ones are being checked unless someone's actually doing the ratios or you're doing them yourself. So, Sula, you might want to share your little story here, but these are your cholesterol.
Yeah, so I was happy to share mine.
Yeah.
So I went to one of the doctors at Gen Biome Clinic, and she looked at mine, and she was quite happy with them in the sense that she said your triglycerides, what's the triglyceride? Mine is it? I can't see is that is the
Your 0.6.
yeah, 0.6. So she's like, your triglycerides are excellent. Right? She said your HDL, which is meant to be greater than 1.1, mine's 2.3. She said that's great. And then she said, I'm concerned about triglycerides, I'm concerned about HDL, and then I'm concerned about the ratio of, was it the second last one, the ratio?
Yeah, so your total cholesterol to your HDL cholesterol. So that'll
Yeah.
tell us, yeah,
Yeah,
how
and she goes,
much
I'm
of your
happy with that. And she goes, I know that you don't eat processed foods. I know you don't have an infection in your body. So she said the only thing that's causing your LDL to be high would be stress. And I said, absolutely. And she then went on and said, well, how are you going to manage your stress going forward? And I said, A, B, and C. And she goes, great. And I said to her, if I took these results to a conventional doctor, would they put me on statins? She said, absolutely. So it just
I mean, I've
blew
heard of
my
stories
mind.
where people are like so even the actual markers that they go off keep changing. So your, as in like the standard reference ranges. So your 5.6 is the total cholesterol 5.6. Some people's I get back a 5.2. Like they change all the time depending on what lab's
Oh,
being used. So you need to make sure that things stay the same every time you test. But some people are like zero point 0.2 above the standard reference range and they're being offered statins.
yeah, because that's how the
And
pharmaceutical companies make money.
nothing else has been looked at. So total cholesterol, like some people might look at 7.2 and go, oh my God. But we haven't looked at any of this. So the total cholesterol to HDL ratio for Sulas is 3.1, which is way under 4. Then the LDL to HDL ratio, I think I calculated that earlier and it was somewhere
Two.
around 2 something.
It's two. So
Yeah.
it's up to
So
three.
again, under the risk range. Triglycerides we know are already
Yeah,
way
points.
under 2. So
Yeah.
yeah, perfect.
And I
And
eat a
then if
very
we were
high
to go,
fat diet. So just so you know, so no correlation there.
yeah. And just like if we were to go further, you can test these lipoproteins, ApoB and ApoA1. And basically all that does is give us more of a better idea of actual levels of LDL and HDL. So they are the proteins that are inside LDL and HDL. So as I said there, well, it's ApoA is found in the HDL, and then ApoB is found in LDL. So it's a more accurate measurement to test those things. But again, we would only go there if all those other ratios were out of whack, and the triglycerides were high. So yeah, there's so many things that we need to look at here. So I would
I
really
didn't
encourage
get
you if
the
you
ACO tested, did I? No, not this time
no,
around.
no, you wouldn't have. That's what I mean. Like it's a next level test. Like you're not going to do that. It doesn't come up in a cholesterol study. It's something that you would have to go and test for. So if everyone's got their results in front of them, I hope they're doing their little ratio calculations.
So that they should that's the ratio at the top. So everyone should take a photo
This
of
is, and sorry, and this is just so everyone knows that these are targets for women only, not men.
okay, so these are the targets at the top. So when you get your results, that's what you should be looking at. Those ratios there, 1, 2, 3, 4 things there. Yeah.
And that's only if you got the APO, the
Otherwise,
APO.
the top three. So look
Yeah.
at total cholesterol divide HDL, you look at LDL divide HDL, and you look at the triglyceride total.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly.
it. Okay. And if they're all under those 4, 3, and 2, respectively,
Yeah.
you're
Risk
like,
is there's no
pat
risk.
yourself on the back.
Doesn't, yeah, exactly. And it doesn't mean that we can't still optimize uh, um, the actual ratios. So we could still, like, if something's close to that ratio, we can still optimize, sorry, close to those markers. We can still optimize more and get, like, there's no harm in getting more good cholesterol like HDL, which we can do through our diet and lifestyle. But it's just letting you know that these are the levels we're looking at if we're going to look at cardiovascular risk, not just looking at the raw numbers and data on the page.
Right. So is there any merit ever in looking at LDL in total? So see how mine's 4.6 and
Yeah.
they highlighted in red as if to say naughty girl. So is there any merit? Is that useful in the sense to say, oh, okay, there is something going on
Yeah.
in my body where the body is moving that cholesterol to the fire. So there is
Yeah.
a fire of some sort that I need to deal with, either stress, infection, or processed foods.
Yeah, there's still
Yeah,
something that
a
we, I mean,
merit.
but everyone in the Western world,
We'll
we kind
have
of,
one of those things on your.
something's going on. Like, I mean, we don't live in a utopia and we can't avoid all these things. But we also, there are like those lifestyle factors where, like, especially movement, like I cannot stress like how much movement will improve lipid studies. So
Oh,
if we're eating, like, I don't like to do the calorie counting crap. But if we aren't moving our bodies and we're eating huge amounts at every meal, whether it's healthy food or not, we're still going to get higher levels of these things in our blood because we're not actually moving it and processing it and getting it out. So we need to use the energy that we're consuming. So yeah, there's so many lifestyle factors that we need to take into account and actually make sure we're doing to keep these markers in check. But as I said, you need to assess your own situation and what causes are actually a problem for you, or see someone who can help you actually determine what that is.
mhm.
So this is where I wanted to talk about what else we need to test. So if you do all those ratios and you are at a higher risk and you notice that they're out of whack, then we need to look at other things. So like I'm not saying go and test all these things, but these are all the other things that you could look at to see how much of a risk you're at of getting these, cardiovascular events. So there are some genetic markers. I wouldn't go there first, but there are some that we need to check. The apolipoprotein E gene is the one that will cause us to metabolize fats incorrectly, kind of thing, wrong. So that can be a problem, but it's a minor in terms of who, like the percentage of the population that would be under that. It's very minimal. We always go by symptoms. That's why in a consult, we don't just look at your bloods and treat you from your bloods. Because if you've got no symptoms and you're not presenting with anything problematic, then there's all those other causes and reasons that we need to look at. Like symptoms are a big part of the picture, which is why we need to have a consult with a professional. Measuring your blood pressure is another aspect we need to check. Family history is a big one, but really the most important part of that is the any close relatives that have had an early death from a cardiovascular risk, like cardiovascular event, sorry, not, once they got to their 80s. It's if they've had a heart attack under 50, that's when you're like, okay, maybe there's a family history element here. As I said before, testing the actual proteins, so the ApoA and ApoB lipoproteins, they give us a more accurate view of your HDL and your LDL. It's actually looking at the molecular structure and density of those lipoproteins. So that's going to tell us if there's a higher risk. Then there's a lipoprotein little a, which is a little bit different. It's a different kind of LDL, but that has been known to be another marker or another risk factor for heart disease. And then the big one that I want everyone to highlight is a coronary calcium score. That should be like, besides symptoms, blood pressure, and family history, almost number one. If you've got all those other issues with your cholesterol ratios, then besides, a couple of the obvious symptoms and signs that are up here, a coronary calcium score from hopefully a good GP who would send you for this, is the best predictor to know if you're at risk of cardiovascular events.
And how do
And
they
that's
do
because,
that? It's a blood test?
no, it's a CT scan.
Oh, CT scan. I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever had that done.
Yeah. And again, we don't want to this is why we need to have a lot of other risk factors done as well, because we don't just want to throw people under CT imaging,
Yeah,
especially
right.
under the age of 50. So there's higher risk and higher problems of exposing yourself to these things under the age of 50. But if it's needed, it's needed. Doesn't matter what age you are. If you've had that family history of someone dying really early, you need to get this stuff checked. So that just means that because the fat build up in the artery, so if we had an artery and the fat's building up in the artery, calcium actually comes alongside that to try and solidify it and keep it still and safe. And that's where the calcium score comes into play and becomes really handy, because if you know that the calcium's building up, then you know that there's actually a fat storage going on there too, the cholesterol buildup. So when you get that test back, anything under 100 is really low risk. Anything over 400 is where they would be, probably treating you more with medication alongside natural therapies is what I would highly recommend. The other thing you can do is an omega-3 index. So that tells us what your omega-3s are doing, which is really helpful, because that's our anti-inflammatory omega. And funnily enough, so the goal that you're reaching for when you see the test is above 8%. And so many of your Asian countries, especially Japan, a large percentage of their population are over 8%, whereas most Australians are 4% or below.
We're having too
So
much sixes.
yeah, way too much, processed
Seed
foods.
oils.
Yeah, exactly. All
Yeah.
that inflammatory,
And
just
how
the
do you
inflammatory
test that
lifestyle.
omega-3 index?
It's literally, that's the test. It's called an omega-3 index
No, but is
test.
it like a blood test or
Yes, sorry,
just all
blood test, yeah.
blood? You have to specifically ask for it, otherwise they won't do
You'd
it.
have to ask for it if you're, again, these things need to be warranted for a GP to order it under Medicare. So
Right.
again, you need to have all these other things going on as well. But that's why I've got these things here saying where can you test, because there are places you can test these things yourself. It doesn't mean that you're going to be able to then treat it or know exactly what you're looking at when you
Yeah.
read the results. But at least you don't have to go through the stress of trying to get a GP to do these things, but you are paying for it out of
Paying
pocket.
for it. Yeah.
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 So you can literally go to iScreen. It's an awesome site. You would be able to type in that and order that test if you wanted it. That particular this is actually a set of tests that measure cardiovascular risk. So it does almost all these other things, not the calcium score. That has to be ordered from a GP. But yeah, Instant Scripts is another one where you can get all your general health checks. So that would include a cholesterol study, but it would also do iron studies, full blood count, like all the basics. That is still really helpful. But you can get them for like $20. like as in all six of them for $20. So it's not like a huge expense. This one's a bit more expensive. And a calcium score through a GP, I think somewhere around $200. Um, but yeah, so these are all the other things we need to look at. So it's not just about cholesterol. So that's what I'm really trying to stress to you all. So now, after all that, moving into these natural strategies that I would work on with my own patients, or again, I'm not going to use all these nutrients and all these herbs. It's specific based on the case, and it's based on why their cholesterol might be elevated, why their cardiovascular risk is high, whatever it is. We can help to adjust those lipoprotein ratios just by using, these nutrients and herbs and dietary and lifestyle. So when I say 80%, that's what I mean. Dietary and like the lifestyle and the diet should be 80% of your strategy. You
Mm.
should not be relying on popping pills, even if they're nutrients, to
Mm.
actually support yourself and get yourself through.
Nice.
This is only going to
Right.
do, is it
Oh,
someone?
just mute
Oh,
someone who's,
that's all right.
yeah.
This is only going to do so much if you've got the basics in place first. So,
Yeah.
general diet and lifestyle for, cardiovascular risk slash cholesterol is to really try and increase your omega-3s and 9s. So that comes from good quality fish. That's hard to find these days. So wild caught, ideally. And
Smash
people don't
fish.
eat, sorry.
The smash fish are the
Yeah.
higher, omega-3s,
Small.
sardines, mackerel,
Yeah.
anchovies, herrings, and sardines.
Yeah. So all
Yeah.
your small fish, and they're going to be lower in heavy metals as well, your small fish.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we really need to up our fish intake. Like, I mean, if we're talking about a Mediterranean diet, then there you go, it's part of the picture. But people do like most patients I chat to, they might be having fish once a week, maybe. But we really need to be upping that to at least 3 times, if not more. Flaxseed oil is awesome. Olive oil is amazing as well. So we need to really up these healthy fats. I mean, they're not
And
the only thing. There's plenty of others.
oh, and so just your omega-3s generally either from the Young Living green omega-3,
Yeah.
omega Gies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, there is a supplement with Young Living for your omegas.
mm,
And also omega-9s you actually can find in bone marrow. So go nuts on bone marrow.
yum.
Another one we want to focus on is polyphenols. So that's just a component of our fruits and our veggies that are highly antioxidant.
That's in the
So
mixture.
yeah, so I was about to chat about our Ningxia, but we need to bring polyphenols in. So literally if you're thinking polyphenols, think purple. Anything purple, dark red, dark blue, that's going to sort you out in the antioxidant world.
And olive oil also has the polyphenols, doesn't it? The olive oils.
Yeah. So there's other types of omegas, like we've got ALA and there's so many, like there's a few others, but olive oil is amazing. It does have a huge, wide range of them. But yeah, polyphenols is our antioxidants. So we're just thinking fruits and veggies that are dark in color, so purple, red, and blue. Increasing fiber is a huge part of it. I know, I feel like people hear that all the time, increase your fiber. But seriously, like if we can improve our fiber intake, because in our Western world it is so low, it helps to actually bind to the cholesterol that's trying to get excreted from our liver, and it like mops it up basically so that we can actually get it out and have a healthy bowel motion. But fiber is so imperative, not only to a healthy gut, but to lowering cholesterol.
That's in fruit and veg.
Sorry?
Fruit and veg.
Oh, no.
Oh,
and then another great.
Sorry, Amy, you just cut out there. So the best source of fiber, fruit and veg.
Yeah, so your best source of fiber is just your fruit and veg, but we're trying to basically, the more we increase our fiber, the better our gut health is going to be, but the more we're going to be able to actually mop up the cholesterol and move it out, which is what we need. We don't want to get what I've got here is hepatogastrointestinal recirculation, which basically means your liver is trying to get it out, and your gut is recirculating because it's just sitting there and it's just coming back through into the bloodstream. So we don't want to have that happen. So increasing your fiber is awesome. If you need a basic guideline around that, go for 2 to 3 cups of veggies slash fruit at every single meal. That will drastically improve your fiber intake. Um, Beta glucans, it's another component of some of our foods, mainly from oats, and they are amazing at sort of lowering cholesterol, but also helping that lipid ratio. So mainly still cut organic oats. Like you're not going to get high beta glucans in, I don't know, the processed rolled oats. They might be organic. Organic will help, but yeah, we really need to try and use steel cut, which means the process is a lot slower to make if you're making porridge.
And what if
It's a
you're on
lot
like a
slower.
paleo keto diet? Like, where would you get that?
You're probably not going to get them from there. You're probably gonna if your gut's not handling it, or if that's where you are with your diet, you're gonna have to use other strategies to lower your cholesterol. It's just that beta glucans have been well researched to reduce and sort of support that ratio. So, movement, as I've been saying many times, is the best drug on the planet for our metabolic health. So it really helps to lower your mortality risk by 30 to 50% for varying chronic diseases. So we're talking, Alzheimer's, dementia, all that kind of stuff, as well as obesity and diabetes and all that kind of thing. So the last lifestyle strategy, there's a few others, but big one to help our cholesterol is actually happiness.
Yeah.
So having someone to love or someone to love you back, and minimizing your stress is going to make a huge difference to your cholesterol readings.
Yeah, because the
So
stress causes the fires was one of the
yeah,
things that causes the fires. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And neuroinflammation is exactly the same as any other inflammation from a bad diet or
100%.
whatever else. Yeah.
Yeah.
So try and be happy.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
things that make you happy. Write a joy list and actually do something from the joy list. So many of us, I think, become parents or mothers, and then we stop doing all the things that actually we love doing and that keep us happy. So yeah, part of being happy is lowering your stress. So yeah. Oh, and then sorry, all these nutrients and herbs. These would be all the things that I would look at if there was cardiovascular risk slash some dyslipidemia. So CoQ10 is a big one, especially for people that have actually been shown to have high levels of cardiovascular risk. And the form we're actually looking for is called ubiquinol. There is a lot of supplements out on the market that it's just ubiquin, which means that it's inactive. So we need to actually get the activated form, which is ubiquinol. In our products, lysine is a great antioxidant, vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin K2, massive one to help rebalance our calcium levels throughout our body. So moving some of that calcium from the arteries back into the bone. So big one. It also helps with our vitamin D synthesis. So another reason we need that. Nicotinic acid is the activated version of B3. That's been well researched and used alongside a lot of medications. Magnesium orotate. So orotate is just a form of magnesium, and orotate specifically helps to lower blood pressure, but also helps to get CoQ10 into the cells. So it's a really good form of magnesium if you've got blood pressure issues. Don't do it if you don't, because I did that once and I almost fainted and dropped my blood pressure way too low. So it does work. Berberine is a great constituent in some of our herbs that can really help with that blood sugar dysregulation, which also leads to our lipid dysregulation as well. Nigella sativa, so I wanted to highlight that one because that's a herb that we use a lot in herbal medicine for our liver and for actually improving these lipoprotein ratios. But it is our black seed oil if we've got our Young Living products.
Yeah.
Black seed oil is amazing. Like its ability in metabolic health, full stop. I'd be downing that stuff. And I usually put it in smoothies. I find it's a really nice
That's a
little
good idea. So
peppery taste.
food sources of CoQ10 is, I think, organ meats. I think
Yeah,
organ
yeah, you can get,
has,
yeah,
yeah.
you can get. So, I mean, God, I saw a calculation. It was like 10 kilos of broccoli, 3
Oh,
kilos of red meat. Um, I can't even remember. It was ridiculous. It's kind of like the Ningxia, the Ningxia calculation we do when we see
yeah, it's
all
like
the fruit and veg
10
that go
grams
into
of livers.
Ningxia.
It's like the tiniest amount to
Yeah.
get what you
It's
need. Yeah.
like
So
to
livers for
get
the
it to
win.
get yeah, to get like the therapeutic dose if you're in need of it,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Like you're never going to eat 10 kilos of broccoli.
But
So
we
to get
have like,
150 milligrams, like you may as well just get a good quality ubiquinol supplement if it's a, really needed situation. Most people over the age of 50 are going to benefit from ubiquinol just based on our mitochondrial health as well. So as we age, our mitochondria start to slow down and can't produce energy as much as well. So having ubiquinol is a great strategy for
where's the best
longevity.
source of lysine, food-wise?
Tomatoes are
All
great.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah. And vitamin C, obviously your Ningxia
yeah.
and lots of fruit.
We
Vitamin
have
E, K2, your
vitamin E.
pastured animal products have,
Yeah, most of your animal products, it's literally so vitamin E and K2 are your fat soluble vitamins. So you're not going to find them without an animal product, but even when you do, they're going to be in very low amounts. So if it is, again, these are nutrients that I would use in a therapeutic way if they are drastically needed. So usually most of your fat soluble vitamins, if they're needed, we're going to be supplementing with because people just won't get enough from their diet.
right. And but your B vitamins typically are found in your muscle meat.
Yeah, you'll find them all in, animal products as well.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, magnesium you can find in all your green leafies, but it's not going to be the version like the form of magnesium for specifically for blood pressure. But most magnesiums to some degree are going to help regulate blood pressure. Yeah, and as I said, some herbs there. Garlic is a great one for our cholesterol levels.
The bergamot. So would the bergamot oil, do you want to talk about the bergamot oil?
I
Or
did look into it.
yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like it will have some impact, but it's not we're looking for the flavonoids aspect
Okay,
of
rather the
bergamot,
essential oil
which
version.
is not the essential, not the volatile oil. We're just looking for the flavonoids, which are going to come from the actual
Fruit,
fruit
flesh.
itself.
Yeah. Yeah, rather
Yeah,
than the rind, the oil extracted from the rind. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 Um, cool. So that's all that. It's a lot there. And then you're going to chat about your
Yeah,
Ningxia,
so the
Sula.
Ningxia, so this is a study, dietary
Sorry.
consumption of 50 mils of Ningxia, which is like the bare minimum we recommend of Ningxia daily. For just 10 days, they did a study that showed for 10 days, well, this was with the Ningxia wolfberries. Um, in 10 days resulted in a 65 drop in oxidized cholesterol. So just, improves blood markers. So if another reason why we want to have Ningxia Red every day. So it's an
Yeah.
easy way to improve your blood markers in terms of oxidized. So when they're talking about
Yeah.
oxidized cholesterol, I presume they're talking about the triglycerides and the so-called bad LDL cholesterol.
Yeah, mainly the LDL that's going out into the body, because oxidation can happen from a number of things, and it could be food, could be stress, could be whatever it is.
Yeah.
Um, but it becomes when something's oxidized, it's gonna start damaging cells,
Is
and
that
we want
also when the red,
antioxidants.
sorry, what was that? The last bit? And
When something's oxidized, it's going to start damaging the cells from all those free radicals.
oh yeah,
So when we have antioxidant
yes.
foods, that's going to try and mop that up. So that's why we're looking at Ningxia is
The
such
Ningxia
a
is the world's highest antioxidant
antioxidant.
food source. And if anybody saw my recent live blood analysis, where my red blood cells were
Yeah.
all clumped together, and he like looked at it and went oxidized oxidation.
Yeah.
And then I had one sachet of Ningxia Red, 60 mils, and then retested 5-10 minutes later, and the red blood cells were all dispersed and perfectly formed. And he was like, "Wow, this like it's almost perfect." Yeah. And
Yeah.
and he said the reason
Yeah.
why it
Yeah.
was the effect was so quick is because the essential oils are nanoparticles. They get into the cells very quickly, and it was something like they donate electrons to the cell membrane. Yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
that was a little bit too scientific for me to understand, but
Yeah, it's amazing. Like it's an amazing
Amy's just
product. And yeah, if we're looking to, yeah, I mean, on top of everything else that I've mentioned, having that alongside your diet is going to be an absolute game changer.
hmm. Yeah, so got Ningxia for the win. So I've upped my Ningxia to about half a cup a day. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Amazing. I feel like I had that just before this because I was feeling so drained with my energy. Anyway, so if you guys need any further support, I'm always here. If you're having any hormonal issues, I do have a free support group on Facebook, which is here. But if you're looking for more support around your cholesterol or metabolic health, you can book a complimentary health appraisal call. So just a 15-minute chat. And then we've got initial consults there as well, if you need them. So they're my
Amazing. Oh,
resources.
resources. Yeah.
I would actually really highly encourage everyone to go watch this documentary, Do No Farm. It's
Yes.
actually Do No Harm. It's one of the oaths that all our GPs take,
Yes.
apparently.
Yeah.
And it's also what we take as naturopaths, which we actually follow.
Yeah.
But it's doing no harm, basically. All your strategies and everything you do with patients should be your goal should be to do no harm or do further harm. And this is do no farm, so it's obviously all about
Mm.
our medications and mainly statins, and it's all about
Well, big
cholesterol.
it's money driven
I
revenue.
know, I
Management.
know.
Yes, it wasn't always
So
that way.
I'm just going to try and look at all the questions that
Yeah,
have
so I thought, now, Amy, that was
been spoken.
amazing. I'm so happy that you presented on this.
No problem.
So let's have a look at some of the questions. If people want to unmute and just ask, feel free. Um, let's
I'll
see.
try and
Um,
hear it.
is, let's just see what.
Amy, would you mind to show the QR codes again with your group, the
Yeah,
hormone
I
group?
might pop the links in the chat to make it
Amazing.
easier
Thank you.
for
That
everyone.
was brilliant. Thanks.
Okay.
I think all the questions were answered. I don't know if people want to unmute. I think a lot of them were just more comments than questions.
Okay, good. If anyone
But
has any questions,
yeah, if anyone
start
has any
asking.
questions, can you just please unmute? Because I couldn't see any unanswered questions. I thought they were just all comments. So unmute. Thank you for those of you showing your lovely faces tonight. So good to see you all.
I have a quick question on my mum's behalf. Hi, mum. What if you have no gallbladder?
Yeah, so if we don't have a gallbladder, we're not going to be storing bile,
Hmm.
but our liver still makes it. So every time you eat, you're gonna have to manage your dietary intake of fat purely because your body can't break it down quick enough as you're eating it. Um, so yes, your liver still needs to make the bile, um, and you need to have cholesterol to do that. But you usually need a lot of supports around your liver making that for your body because you haven't got a gallbladder to store it in. Because if we can store it, then we can just pump it out when we need it. But when we don't have that option, then our liver needs to make it on the run. And we usually need to support people with that so that that process happens quick enough while they're actually eating their meal. So it's a
I
bit
was
of
trying to get my mum to take ox bile, but she hasn't been.
yeah,
Is
that can help there. So
recommend?
that is a bile supplement if we're just going to completely replace bile. But there are some different herbs and nutrients we can do to help the liver actually make bile quicker. It's basically part of trying to actually stimulate digestion before we eat instead of just throwing food down our gob. So yeah, doing some sort of pre-digestion support before we eat is going to be helpful there.
Mm. How often do you reckon that we should get this tested, like cholesterol tested? Do you think it should just be treated, like assuming that there's nothing kind of untoward, like once a year, along with
Yeah, if you've done those ratios and you're not at any risk,
yeah,
like you obviously don't need to test any further. But also, yeah, once a year. I say all general blood should
everything
be done once a year.
once a year, include
If you've got something out of whack, and it's drastically out of whack, and you're actually trying to work on it and treat it, then you need to do it every 3 months because you should be on a protocol of some description. If you're not and you're just, doing some diet and lifestyle strategies on your own or whatever, you're probably going to need to wait 6 months and see, retest again. But yeah, when I'm working with people, I would be doing roughly every 3 months. Yeah.
Someone said, how do we take black seed oil? Young Living's got an amazing black seed oil. So I squirt it into my ningxia. You squirt it, like Amy said, into smoothies. It doesn't really have that much of a taste. It's because it's like oily, isn't it? Just like
it's black cumin. So it's basically it's a peppery. It has a bit of a peppery taste.
yeah.
So I put it in a smoothie and I really like it.
It was one of like the top 5 products that Peter McCulloch put up that kills the COVID SARS virus. It's so anti-inflammatory.
Yes, it had a lot of research on it throughout COVID as well. Yeah, honestly, like I've
that
got
didn't make the
books around
newspapers,
here
did
and
it?
no, of course not.
Newspapers.
But the action of Nigella sativas, like it's got like the actions of it are like, as long as my arm. It's an incredible
loved it. And when it came out, when Young Living made it, every naturopaths would just jump overjoyed. Yeah. Add that one to your list. Add the ningxia to your list. The green omega 3s to your list. Do you think it matters that the green omegas, Young Living ones, are not from fish? They're from the seaweed? Should we alternate between like a fish one and a seaweed?
Yeah, I mean, if you don't have a restriction around animal products,
yes,
you're going to get a much better dose from some sort of fish oil.
Right, so cod liver, like Green Pastures fermented cod liver oil. Yeah.
Mixing it up, there's no harm, but you're going to have to take a pretty big dose of algae to get the type of therapeutic dose you would from a fish oil.
Black seed oil's in stock, yes.
I'm just trying to put the links in there, but I don't know if they get
anybody else have any questions for Amy while we've got her? And we're so blessed to have practitioners like this in our community. So just once again, wanted to thank and honour Amy for her time in putting this together.
Oh, thanks, Lauren. That was lovely.
Hi, Sula and Amy. It's Dana.
Hi, Dana.
Quick question. So those natural therapies you said to follow, do you do that, just pick a few and do, or just do them if you need them?
Yeah. So again, we want to know what the cause is, like what we're really treating, obviously.
Yeah.
But those diet and lifestyle strategies, like they're not going to hurt you if you throw them in. Like definitely movement, definitely, lots of antioxidants. Getting all that on board. I mean, that should be general preventative. But then in terms of actually looking at your nutrients, like if we're going to supplement, I'd be a little bit more, picky and choosy. You're not going to go and throw yourself, try and give yourself a dose of all those nutrients or herbs. But
if you take a few of them, it doesn't matter.
No, it should be fine.
Yeah.
There's no issues. Just play around, see what you.
And if we've got like
obviously, having some ningxia is going to give you a good dose of vitamin C. It's a great antioxidant, all that kind of stuff. And then garlic, you can easily add garlic into your foods. There's definitely ways to get these things in without taking 10 bottles of pills.
So if we've got a relative or a friend who just said, oh, I had my cholesterol tested and a doctor put me on statins, we encouraged them to see you, they could book in to see you. Do statins have to be weaned off, or could you stop them straight away?
You'd have to speak to the GP or whoever's prescribed them. Like I don't work with medications, so I can't say that.
Yeah.
But it would depend on why they've been put on it. So if they have actually done all those other, tests for the risk to see how much of a risk they are, there may be a need for a low dose statin on top of everything else. But again, it's case by case trying to figure that out. And then yeah, I think I've answered your question.
Yeah, so basically
I can't
yeah, we
say.
don't work with medication, so we don't know. Yeah. So, but if we do
I
those
can't just,
ratios that you suggested, we could get someone's results and do a quick back of the envelope ratio ourselves and just go, well, according to these real ratios that your doctor should have done but didn't do, you don't look like you're in any risk at all. And then, of course, I just encourage people to go see one of the naturopaths in our community like yourself. Yeah.
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 You always want to get a second opinion. Like if you're getting offered a drug,
Oh,
find
yeah.
a second opinion. And if you want it from a GP, go get an integrative GP. If you want a naturopath, go talk to a naturopath. But you know, I'm not here to say that doctors are horrendous or drugs are bad, but we do need to start working together on these things. And there are so many people that do not need to be on a statin and could easily have these natural strategies in place to support what's going on for them. Again, looking at the root cause and actually figuring out why there's inflammation, full stop. But yeah, so let's work together. Let's not like try and, you know,
Yeah.
get, you know, annoyed with each other. But yeah, there's way too much. Yeah,
And
way
the
too
key
much.
thing is that cholesterol is, you described it as a healing substance, and it's there to put out a fire and get really curious about why your LDL is high in the first place, because there's some underlying fire in the body, whether it's stress, processed foods, or infection. Start getting really curious as to why it's there. And there's always a reason why those firemen are there to put out the fire. Just killing the firemen isn't going to reduce the fires. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just going back to that's what I mean. Like we cannot just look at cholesterol as the only marker of risk for cardiovascular disease or, you know, any kind of event. It really, you need to have all those other things and looked at them, especially that calcium score, to know if there's actually anything going on in the arteries.
Mm.
Or if it's just a stressful, you know, hormonal roller coaster. Who knows? You'll have to you know your own lifestyle and what's going on for you. So what would apply there? And Louise said how many droppers. So I did answer, I don't think I actually answered droppers. Each dropper is 20 mils, so 20 drops, which is 1 mil. So you'd have to do 5 droppers worth to get 5 mils. And if it's something like if you've looked at your cholesterol levels and they look a bit out of whack, then you might need to do two doses of that a day, not just the 1 5 mil dose. Sally, yep, Jenny's answered that. The black seed oil, it has many amazing benefits.
Very anti-inflammatory.
Yes. So I did pop in the links. They've probably been lost a little bit in the communication, but there's a link there for the consults and a link for the group, Facebook group, support for hormones. But yes, I just encourage anyone, if you're not sure, if you're a bit confused and you've looked at your bloods and you don't know what you're doing, just book in a health appraisal call and we'll just have a 15-minute chat to see what's actually going on. And brainstorm a little bit.
That was amazing, Amy. On behalf of everyone, I want to thank you for your time and the time and your education in presenting to us your knowledge. We're so grateful. And don't forget, this month, being 1st of May, my next workshop, my signature Oils 101 Low Tox workshop, is Sunday, the 25th. Please do book in by Zoom or in person. I'd love to see you in person if you're in Sydney. And please bring friends. We want as many people to attend as possible so we can spread this low tox message and make an impact and help people. So Sunday, the 25th, please book in. Go to the member resources page of my website. All the workshops are there. I want to see as many people there as possible with as many non-member friends so we can really spread this low tox message. So thank you, everybody. Wishing everyone a beautiful rest of your evening. Sleep well and see you on the 25th. Bye.